Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the southwest corner of the map, playing in red, we've got Demu representing Team Liquid playing as the Roose, and his opponent in the northeast playing in blue, we've got Callisto, also known as Myriad, playing as the Byzantines. Welcome everyone to Highview. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Hopefully you are having a fantastic day, and we're going to be having a great game today. I can pretty much feel it in my bones. Highview, a great map in Age of Empires 4. It's one thing I love about Highview is it's how it's so unique, right? Lots of maps have a kind of a selling point, a really specific nature to them, and Highview've got the stealth forest. That's what's great about this map, especially considering the type of units that it can offer, being so powerful. Cavalry units, mobility units, it's so powerful considering how it's difficult to get vision on the map easily, and those cavalry units can sneak up on you, get a bit of raiding in. We shall see what we're up against today. Now, the Byzantines versus the Roose. A great matchup, two very strong civilizations. We've got the Byzantines with the economy very much focused on the cistern, of course, starting off with a 10% buffering on the villager gather rate. It's pretty hefty and obviously scales quite nicely as the water level increases. As you get more cisterns and you connect them with the aqueducts, of course. The Roose, on the other hand, have got the bounty systems. You can see the scouts going out and about looking to get the deer and also the wolves that are on the map quite quickly. And the great thing about having multiple scouts as well on this map with the Roose is that the stealth forest, they give you very little vision, like barely any vision. So having multiple scouts actually really helps getting sheep. Speaking of which, actually, Myriad actually managed to pick a couple off, and like you see how little vision you get. I mean, to be fair, it's pretty big here, but when they get to the heart of the stealth forest down the middle, it's a lot less. I did opt for a second scout, of course, as you'd expect, to try and challenge the deer camp and the bounty. Gonna be going for it here with trying to sneak in and pick off a couple of the deers if you can. But this matchup is kind of cool because you've got the Byzantines that have a kind of power scale in the, I guess, early Castle Age in many ways. It's because of the fact that it often has the increased water level at that point, right? And increased water level means the economy is a bit better. Also means that the production is super fast with the conscriptio from the cisterns. It's going to be increasing it by, I think it's 20, 40, 60, or is it to start off with 40 and 60? Yeah, 20, 40, and 60. I was right the first time around. So it can be pretty hefty as you start to get to water level 3. And the great thing about it is that it synergizes quite well with the economy, right? So your villager gather rate also increases, as well as the production. Now, landmark choices are going to be kind of interesting, right? You got the Grand Winery, very typical choice in this particular matchup, because you're going to expect to see the game go to the mid to late game because of the Roose defensive capabilities, right? They often open with the Kremlin. It makes it very difficult to pressurize the Roose early on. It's actually one of the reasons why they're such a strong civilization, right? They've got a great economy, got early wheelbarrow already here, Demu. In fact, the kind of crazy thing is Demu has actually prioritized a dark age wheelbarrow, and he's kind of struggling on the gold for the age up. It's a bit of a late age up, as you kind of expected a bit quicker for the Roose. He tried to rely on the bounty rather than mining any of the gold. He gets there in the end, but the more important talking point is that it goes up with the Kremlin, so it's very difficult to push. It makes the Imperial Hippodrome for the Byzantines as a landmark choice a little bit more obsolete, because you're sure you can get horsemen from the Imperial Hippodrome, but running into the Kremlin, it's not a good idea, especially when you factor in you got the Grand Winery as an option. Increased olive oil gathering from the berry bushes and olive groves by 60% is a pretty hefty big bonus there to get more mercenaries. Now, what's going to be curious is to see what kind of mercenary contract he goes for. There's quite a few good ones on offer. You've got the Western mercenary contract for the longbows to start off with. You've got the Eastern mercenary contract for the Kershiks. And you do have the other one, which no one really ever goes for, to get the javelin throwers, which you can sometimes go for. But I think the main concern on this map is the mobility. It makes a lot of sense, I feel, to go for Keshiks, because you leverage that mobility. And I think that would be a nice move for the Byzantines. Obviously, we'll see what he's up to. Maybe he could opt for longbows. It's a nice choice as well. But going up against a Roose, which is typically going to open with a second town centre, it's quite likely to see the Byzantines potentially do the same. In fact, it looks like that's exactly going to be the case, right? So the Byzantines have already collected the stone to do so. Then it kind of begs the question is, where do you place that town centre? Do you place it quite close to home? Do you go a bit more aggressive with it? It makes a lot of sense to go for the deer camp. I think it's a nice play here for the Byzantines because the Roose are going to go 2 town centres as well. It's a totally different picture if you think that the opponent's going to go 1 town centre and you're going 2 town centres. If you're the player going 2 town centres in that sort of scenario, it's quite likely you want to place it a little bit more conservatively closer to home, because the town centers these days, they are a little bit, they're not as strong as they used to be. 2,500 HP, and only 7 garrisonable spots for those villagers to be safe and sound. In fact, it's actually not really going to venture out too far out, and it's going to go for the gold, which makes a lot of sense, right? You kind of want the gold to get to the castle age, and there is that kind of play in the feudal age. If you play 2 town centers, you got to make sure your gold's secure, right? Because you can play an extended feudal age with 2 town centers, but the castle age typically is what follows. And so if you don't have gold access, then castle age it's not really a thing for you, is it? So protecting the gold is certainly a nice way to play, which, by the way, demu has already achieved with the Kremlin. And that's what allows him to go out a lot further out with the second town center onto the boar. And kind of a nice detail to be had here. Like, you might be wondering, why didn't he pull the boar towards the stone and place the town center there? Well, it's a lot of it coming down to the stealth forest position. So myriad won't really notice this unless he actually directly sends a scout there quite quickly. He'll probably notice that the boar's been taken off the minimap, because when you do take the boar, it disappears off the minimap, but he won't necessarily know that's the town center unless he directly scouts it. Nice little bit of detail there for the Roose. But yeah, certainly one thing to consider is that whilst the Roose have got such a strong economy with the early wheelbarrow, right, already getting it, and the Byzantines now just getting it now, with both civilizations going up with 2 town centers, the Byzantines won't be too far behind because of the sister network working its wonders. Especially when you factor in now it's going to get the second tier, so going to get an additional 4% extra to make 14. Oh, Myriad's got to be careful with his scout, actually. He's venturing out once again, but yeah, they're not going to cross paths again, although, actually, maybe they will. So demu. Oh, who's going to try and snipe him? Oh, it's going to be close. Who's going to get out of there? Yeah, he should be fine. Scout spotted the walls there, and this is actually quite a nice palisade wall because it's going to protect a lot, right? You've got the deer camp, you've got the gold, and you've got berries. This is a really nice spot here for demu in this corner because it's quite close to home as well. Yeah, but with plenty of village and gold, it looks like demu is opting for that castle stage pretty soon. Not really adding any units, no knights on the field, and is keeping his scouts forward just to see, right? And to be fair, demu can get away with this greed because the Byzantines aren't exactly pressurizing. Or pressuring, I should say. There's been a lot of YouTube comments recently talking about pressurizing and pressuring. I mean, to be fair, pressuring is the right word. I don't know why I keep saying pressurizing, but all you guys who have been commenting on YouTube about it, I hear you. I'm going to try and make it. Hopefully it sticks in my head. But yeah, pressuring, of course, is the right word. Speaking of which, I would like to say a very big thank you for everyone who's been supporting the channel on YouTube or Twitch, whichever one it is. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome on in, and if you are watching this afterwards on YouTube, if it's a good enough game to post, then you may want to come and say hi on Twitch one day. Who knows? And if you're watching Twitch now, you might want to catch me on YouTube as well, because I basically what happens is I often cast live on Twitch, but I upload the very best casts onto YouTube. But I'm very selective what I post on YouTube because I know that people watching YouTube watch the basically VODs, videos on demand, and you want to make sure you're watching good games with that. You don't really want to be wasting your time. Oh, he's going to lose a scout. Yeah, you don't want to be wasting your time watching games that aren't that particularly interesting. Losing that scout, actually, for the Byzantines is a big deal. I think he should have one more, right? Because he did actually opt for 2. There's the other one. And so having that scouting information is going to be key. A couple of scouts being annoying in the north in that house. It does have border settlements, by the way, which gives a really good field of vision. It's actually a really nice upgrade for the Byzantines, considering this map is a lot about vision. And the Stealth Forest kind of obscures that quite a lot. It's going to be the High Trade House. Not too many spots for it to actually really go into. Like, there's not much that's going to come out of the High Trade House in terms of gold. But he maximizes what he can. There's a decent chunk of wood here. And there's a bit of Stealth Forest there. Wait, these Keshiks, they are going to spot this. This could be huge. He's going to dive on the village in gold. Might take off a couple. He gets one. Should get a second. Will he get the second? No, he doesn't quite. But guess what? He's going to go for the High Trade House. This is going to be a massacre. This is a problem. Demu, he needs something here. He needs something fast. Oh, this is kind of problematic. This is kind of problematic. Now, he's going to draft in the militia, which is certainly the right call, which will certainly help. But, I mean, yeah, the militia will take care of this, but not without having suffered some losses here, the Roose. It's kind of unfortunate here for demu, I gotta say. Could at least lose about 3 or 4 of these. Keshik has been taken. And the big deal out of this, actually, really, is not so much... I mean, sure, he's killed a lot of villagers, which is important, but the bigger deal, he's delayed the tech up to the castle age, and also he knows about it now, right? So Myriad is going to be looking to go to the castle age himself. Plenty of food, plenty of gold in the bank, and that's coming on the way as we speak. It's probably going to be the Golden Horn Tower. It's a very typical choice for the Byzantines, and that's exactly what's going on. It's a great landmark for the Byzantines. It's going to be increasing the military count, of course, unlocking what periodically makes mercenary units for free. That's been unlocked. And that's definitely going to be handy for the Byzantines. He's going to try and harass some more villages. Should get one more, so good raiding value. And this is the key choice, right? He went for the Eastern mercenary contract with these Keshiks. This would all not be possible without that choice. This is where some really key decisions can pay dividends right here. Like if he went for the longbows, Western mercenary contract, is a different story, right? He could never achieve this. This is huge. He's killed 10 villagers so far, and he knows a key area now to focus on. That's a massive hit on the economy for the Roose. 10 villagers at this point is massive. Alright, well, blacksmith upgrades coming in as well for Myriad. It looks like he's going to go full pedal to the metal in the castle age. Oh, horse archers coming out for demu. So that's the army composition of choice. Well, composition is really just one unit at this point. We've seen the horse archers being played recently in a couple of tournament games by Faye. Now we're seeing demu doing it now. This is kind of cool because, again, we talked about vision, how important it is on this map and how difficult it is to get on this map. But with horse archers, the mobility, and having a ranged attack, it could be really tricky here for Myriad to deal with this. It's going to need archers to counter this. The problem with that, archers, obviously, you force yourself into a low mobility unit, which is not great for a low visibility map. And then the archers don't scale particularly well into the mid to late game. I love this play. We're seeing this a lot more often these days. A couple of civilization matchups of kind of featuring this way when you have a bit more influence in the pacing of the game. It forces your enemy into making decisions, into making units that are kind of suboptimal, right? Because if he goes for archers, then again, it doesn't scale hugely well in the late game. And that pushes demu into a really strong position. A couple of other civilization matchups or civilizations that can do this. Civs like the English. Seemingly now we've seen them go for a lot of cavalry, forcing enemy into spearmen. And then the English do love getting those man-at-arms in the late game. Of course, we're not seeing the English today, but it's nice to think about these particular options. I love to see this horse archers, actually. They used to be a very broken unit at the early stages of Age of Empires 4, by the way. Used to be very overtuned. It's now settled down a little bit with the balance changes and everything, just as well, because they were absolutely ridiculous. They had like an incredible rate of fire and also range, I think. Snipes out the monk, trying to pick up the relic. That's actually a key issue in this timing of the game, where both civilizations will be looking to pick up those relics, which the Roose should have a slight advantage of, because they've got the warrior monks, right? Extra mobility on that front. It's going to take in the fight. The big thing for the Roose, he might need a bit more of a meat shield here. They've got a couple of scouts, but probably not going to be enough, and the Keshiks are going to ride on in. So, whilst we're talking about archers, I mean, if he can gap close like this, Myriad doesn't necessarily have to go for archers. The only problem is if we do build up a large mass of horse archers, then it becomes very difficult to do this, right? Because you'll always be playing chase, and it's very difficult to chase this down, right? So as long as there's a good micro here by demu, as long as he doesn't look away at the wrong time, he'll be absolutely fine, right? So he's picking off all these Keshiks. That's a lot of resources going down, and you can see, the army value here really struggling for Myriad. Despite having the better economy, he's really struggling to keep the army numbers up, and it's because they're all getting picked off by these horse archers. The Keshiks aren't cheap, guys, and the horsemen aren't either. He survives with that warrior monk, 4 HP on that, and that's massive. So whilst demu lost a lot of villages nice and early, I mean, he's definitely making it back. I mean, sure, his economy's not as good, but he's just killed a lot of military, and Byzantines don't have anything. Something that's kind of concerning for the Byzantines is he has plonked down these production on the front lines, and that's great if you want to reinforce your army quickly, but if you're going to be pushed back, it's a problem. It's not really something he's anticipating at this stage, because he did do a lot of worker damage against those villagers on the high trade house earlier, so he's probably expecting himself to have a bit more of a momentum. The problem is that momentum is being slowly drained out of this position, because look at how many horse archers that demu is really scaling into. This is looking fantastic. Also getting Boyar's Fortitude, which should give him an additional 15% HP, 25% actually. Oh, it's just 25. It's actually plus 25. Okay, that's pretty hefty anyway. When you factor in it's only got 85 HP anyway. So adding another 25 is a significant chunk of it. As it happens, it is a very good chunk of it. Looking to contest that sacred site, but the big thing is that the horse archers, they do crumble when they don't have a meat shield. And the reason for that is because the Byzantines, if they do scale the army numbers quite well, he might just push into the base. And horse archers are great if you are pushing your enemy away from your base, or you're fighting away from your base. The moment you have to try and defend your base and your front line and your actual, your economy, it becomes difficult with horse archers, right? Because they're not sort of huge damage output damage units unless you have a mass scale of them, and they're not really the greatest defensive unit. And it looks like that's all he's going for at this point. So it's going to find it difficult to face off against this number of melee units here if they do start pushing on in. As long as they scale in numbers, right? That's the problem for the Byzantine so far. It's just been losing a couple here and there. I say a couple, it's been losing a lot here and there. So it hasn't really been able to scale them up to a big force to push out with. What he is doing, though, is getting some palisades, which I love, because the problem is he's up against high mobility units. The horse archers could always go round and raid. And I think these walls are... They're kind of they're necessary if for the Byzantines, if he doesn't want to get raided to death. Still, though, demu is being able to keep myriad away from his base, really. But yeah, so just to recap, demu is in red and myriad is in blue. Sometimes they change up the names and stuff. It is what it is. But it can be good aggression coming out here. Trying to charge in through the stealth rush, should get a couple of charges in. But again, it's always tricky, right? You always feel like you're fighting up against the wall if you're the player that doesn't have the ranged units. Look at that, they're focusing on that one scout. Great use of that scout. Buys him so much distance. Makes him have to gap close once again. He's going to charge in and pick off a couple of horse archers, to be fair. But, you know, he's always playing chase, right? And destruction value is just looking a lot better here for demu overall. It must be fun to micro as well, I've got to say, to use the units in this way. Now, behind all of this, very sneakily and very quickly, demu's picked up 5 of the relics. That is significant. That is huge for the late game consequences of this game. Because the Byzantines have the olive oil, which they can rely on in the super late game. Instead of gold necessarily, if they do mine all the gold. But demu, having this number of relics, I mean, it's definitely going to help for sure. It's added in the sacred site as well for good measure. Trying to go around the back and raid. But this horse archer mass is looking really dangerous here for demu. He's going to continue with the forward production. Does have the wood level 5, which is fantastic. That economy's going to be rocking and rolling. 26%, guys. 26% gathering rate on the villages, but also scaling up to 100% production. So this is massive. Like, there's 3 stables here, but it's kind of acting like 6. There is 4 archer ranges here, pretty much acting as, well, 8. It's bonkers. So production really going to scale out of this. That's a scary and massive horse archers, I gotta say. Oh, gonna raid in the Keshiks once again in this spot. Might pick up a couple of villagers, but he's got a couple of horse archers, so we'll deal with this. But the massive fight round on the front in the Stealth Forest. Horseman gonna dive in here for myriad, but doesn't get too much value. Again, this is the harsh reality of the situation, right? If you dive in and you don't commit fully, you inevitably lose troops on the retreat. He's taking the fight now. Good number of scouts. Gonna tank on in. Now the Magano outpost actually got some really good shots there. Does a lot of damage. Holy moly, does a lot of damage. But you know, horse archers just get out of there, right? He doesn't have to fight there. Ideally, demu, he can just back away, and he's doing just that. It feels really difficult here for myriad to really push this out after having some serious losses of villagers. Demu's definitely pulling this one back. And this is coming down to this insistence of not having archers, although he's now getting them right. He's definitely making a switch, like he kind of needed to. There's the veteran archers coming out, and just as well. The concern for the Roose players that this is actually the timing that you typically see them needing a farming transition. It's already started, to be fair, but the Byzantines typically do add the farms or their olive groves a little bit quicker, a little bit more graduated because of the fact that they get olive oil from it as well. So it makes a lot of sense for them to trickle them in every so often. And so the power spike in the economy for the Byzantines should be there or thereabouts now. Like, look at the food income coming in, right? It's pretty hefty. The Roose, though, will need that farming transition. They've got a great wood economy considering the Kremlin boosting up the gather rate of wood. They do not struggle on wood usually, the Roose. It's going to go with a high armory at an interesting time, I got to say, because this is kind of scary for the Roose in many ways, because he's teching up, and as we say on the channel always, there's 3 features to look out for. Do you have a standing army to survive? Do you have your static defenses? And are you able to keep your enemy's army away from your base? And to be fair, for Demu's situation, he kind of has all 3 for now, but the only thing he's kind of lacking on is his army, because this is all horse archers. We talked about earlier in the cast, they are great as an offensive unit, a raiding, But when it comes to defenses, actually then don't fare as well. And we might see that now because the Byzantines, they're going to look to maybe just ignore those horse archers, right? He's got some good static defenses back at home, trying to wall everything up. Everything is relatively protected, does have a magnet placement inside the outpost. And so he feels confident now to push on forward. That's a lot of villagers. Wait, was he backing away for a second? But he redirects and he spots it. Horseman should pick off a couple of villagers. But there's the tech up. Oh, this could be huge. Could it be for the second time in the game? That myriad might try and deny the tech up, or at least delay it at the very least. There he goes. He's going to charge on in. I think the tech up comes in, but it's going to lose a couple of villagers in the process. And this is where things become really dangerous here for the Roose. He's drumming on in. I mean, these units, they're charging on in. It's a good number of ringing guards, heavily armored as well. That's going to be tough for the Roose to deal with. He is in the Imperial Age, but he's going to need units. He's kind of struggling in this position, right? Because his horse archers are in the north. And he's trying to pick off reinforcements. That's actually kind of smart, though, because this push is like a one-hit wonder. It's going to do some damage. It's not going to kill the Roose, right? It's not going to... Well, to be fair, he might get a lot of raiding value. If he kills a lot of villagers, maybe we'll kill him off. But the big thing is he can't really reinforce this easily with those horse archers lurking around. Unless the horse archers are diving in, and he is diving in, looking to get eco damage himself, so maybe he can reinforce. That's kind of huge, actually. That was a key decision-making point there for demu. Does he look to raid himself, or does he try and pick off reinforcements? He went for the raiding approach. And bear in mind now, with the horse archers back at home, there's a decent number of veteran archers picking them off. But now that he is in the Imperial Age, I wouldn't be surprised to see these man-at-arms become elite man-at-arms. And that's exactly what's happening. Because those archers then become redundant. This is such a smart play. We literally talked about it earlier in the cast, how this happens. Myriad was moving into the archer line, and now man-at-arms popping out for the Roose. Having said that, I gotta say, he's getting huge amounts of value here, Myriad. I gotta say, killing so many villagers, killed 50 so far. But the steam is slowly running out, and he is being raided back at home. So he's got to be careful not to lose too many villagers. There's a couple of villagers here trying to build that palisade gate. I mean, wait, demu, he's not recognizing it. He moves away. There's a good 5 villagers there. They escape with their lives just about. Coming with another force with mostly man-at-arms. A couple of archers, but here we are with the Streltsy. We do see elite man-at-arms now as well. Absolutely massive for the Roose. He's fighting underneath the Kremlin, which is... not ideal, but you've got to take the fights when you can, and he's killed so many villagers, 57 of them. Demu down to 55 villagers. He does have the elite horse archers as well, so he's got to be careful here, Myriad. Got to keep attention to that because he might lose villagers himself. But massive, great pressure coming in for Myriad. But the steam has kind of run out. It's going to go for the keep on the west side on that gold vein, which is actually kind of smart because this is the time where the 8,000 gold veins on the map, the 2 of them, become really important. You want to secure those up as much as you can. Loses a couple of horse archers there on the back. Unfortunately there for demu, and the numbers have really started to thin down. They're very weak as well. The Varangian guards will find it difficult to catch up, but the veteran archers are what's doing the damage. Behind all of this, the great thing for the Byzantines is being able to stack up. He's going to go with the Palatine score, so he's going to be able to get some every couple of units when he makes. He gets a chance of making some for free as well. But walls come up just as well, because that could have been devastating otherwise. Still loses a couple of edges though. Oh wait, no. Myriad. Villagers. Gold. No. Mining camp. He needs one. Okay, I think... Yeah, he's getting... Okay. That could have been devastating if he didn't watch that. That would have been a lot of idle time. Walking distance. The big concern though is the powerhouse of the Roose at this stage, right? He lost a lot of villagers. He's down to 50 villagers, literally half the economy, and less than that because of course the system's working well for the Byzantines. But he's going to add a 3rd town centre here. And that's going to be key to build up the villager count again. If demu can survive the next 20 minutes, he should be okay, but it's a big if, right? Because he is struggling on food. To be fair, his income is still very good overall because of the relics, right? Because he doesn't have to have as many villagers on gold. He's actually got 1 villager on gold, but getting 800 gold per minute, which is actually mad when you think about it. The Byzantines, on the other hand, have to commit to 23 villagers, and for 1,200 gold per minute, roughly. And so whilst he's low on economy, those relics actually coming into big play because it means he can focus more on food rather than mining gold. Streltsy tanking on their own. There's not much of a front line there. A couple of man-at-arms survive. They may go down pretty quickly. Gonna keep on the other 8,000 gold vein, which is really critical. The great thing for the Roose, it does have hunting cabins as well to rely on, as well as the high trade house. Whilst the high trade house wasn't like an incredible position, wow, I mean, to be fair, 192 gold per minute. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. about the equivalent of 4 to 5 villages. Not too shabby at all. Okay, horse archers. Only 2 remain. I wonder how Demu's going to secure gold. I think he's got some still at the back here. But he's going to want to make a play for the 8,000 gold veins, where he can't leave those getting mined out for the Byzantines. Or by the Byzantines, I should say. The issue for the Byzantines, he doesn't really have much siege, right? So he's got a lot of units, but nowhere to take out the infrastructure. He's going to rely on the Varangian Guards, torch damage, and the Gulams. But that's the problem, right? Like, you kind of can't do this at times because you have to fight as well with the units. So if you had a couple of rounds here, it would be pretty epic. I don't know if he's got siege engineering. I might check that in just a moment because that would be critical. He's got plenty of wood, right? So could potentially have been spamming out rams here. Maybe we might have needed that. Still, he's putting a lot of pressure. This horse... Wait, this horse archer? Oh my god, I wish I could see how many units he's killed. I wish that was a thing because he's done a lot of damage. You can see dead bodies on the olive groves. The biggest thing is the Roose gets such good siege at this point. Very cheap as well. And he needs everything on the cheap here, Demu, because considering his economy. He's starting to scale it up a little bit now with that 3 town centre. Does get a massive shot on the Streltsy. He's running on in. It looks like Limitane are on the menu for the Byzantines, which is... It's a good unit, but the problem is he's running into elite man-at-arms, and the elite man-at-arms, they rip through those. So he's got good unit numbers here, the Byzantines, but he doesn't really have premium units. Look at those archers. Oh god, on the north of that town centre. We're absolutely wrecked by that mangonel. At least in terms of HP. And this is a push that I think Demu should be able to hold. This is the concern, right? He's preoccupying Demu, and that's one thing, but he's not doing too much infrastructural damage. So it's not sort of long-lasting damage being done here. So whilst it looks bad for Demu, in reality it's kind of not. Because the longer the game goes on, the better the chance that Demu has coming back into it. Oh, getting a ram here. Almost going down that keep, actually. Didn't... Only had mangonel replacement. No boiling oil. He should be able to keep it alive in the end. Kills the man-at-arms, and this should be okay. It looks like the rate of repair is more than the damage output from the ram, so it should be okay, but it's obviously draining a bit of stone. Continues to raid. He's killed upwards of 80 villagers. Didn't actually do that much damage on this particular push, I gotta say. At least not compared to the last push. Massive barracks, and I hope that's for Varangian Guards. The trouble is the bank of resources is not looking too great for the Byzantines. But he keeps pumping out Limitane. Yeah, I'm not so sure about this unit choice, right, because the Roose are getting elite man-at-arms. It's just straight up better. They will wreck those Limitane in a big way. It's a nice idea just to keep unit numbers up, but at some point the economy should be able to sustain the heavily armored units and the gold units. A cracking game of Age of Empires though. Looking to deny that sacred site. I wonder what Demo will look to try and push this forward again, because this is an area which is quite key for Demo, for gold at least. Thank you, Les Jules. Thank you for the raid, I appreciate it. Oh, massive mangonel shot. You guys came in at the right time. Streltsy, they're going to protect those mangonels as well as the man-at-arms. That army is actually looking really good. Like, Demo doesn't have loads of army numbers, but every one of these units are premium. Look at them. Elite man-at-arms, Streltsy, mangonels. And he's up against Limitane. I mean, he's got Varangian Guards sprinkled in there, to be fair, which is pretty decent, but that's not a fight the Byzantines could really take. But thanks so much for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. Welcome on in, raiders. We are in a good spot for this game, actually. It's a good time to join. Gonna get the university for those all-important texts, and this is the concern, right? The Roose are so hard to push at times that despite having lost so many villages early on, they've got the eco to bounce back. Granted, I feel like I wish we saw more siege out from the Byzantines to do structural damage, but it's tricky, right? When you're having to pump out this many units and be able to get siege at the same time, it's tricky. It's got mangonels, but I mean siege to take out structures, really. Well, this could be a really interesting fight. This actually could be what determines the game, because this is the key, right? Demu, he's adding in rams. That is huge, because those rams will take out those production buildings on the front lines. Mangonels deploy, massive fight here. Streltsy looking to dish out all sorts of damage. Man at Arms tanking the front lines for the Roose. And the problem is, it's mostly Limitane. He's got good numbers here, but there's a Springles as well for the Roose. Snipe out the Mangonels that the Byzantines had. And that just leaves the Mangonels uncontested here for the Roose. They're going to do so much damage. The Byzantines, while they're going to start to overrun a little bit on the unit side of things, although again the archer numbers, they're dwindling, right? It's just they're not strong enough. The Mangonels doing so much damage there for the Roose and the Streltsy and the Man at Arms. It's just they're premium units. It's so hard to deal with. It's so deceptive, right? You think equal numbers almost, but the quality of units just better for the Roose. Look at that army, and all of a sudden, the Byzantines are on the back ropes. Now, having lost that army, he's able to produce the Varangian Guards, but he needs them. He needs them now. And the question is, can he mass them up or not? I mean, he should be able to, considering he's the Byzantines, right? He does have the extra production from the conscriptia, but he's having to focus on the Rams for now. The Rams took out one production building, but they do go down. It was only 3 of them after all, but that's a lot of siege. A couple of Keshiks riding on in, trying to snipe them. He does snipe out one Mangonel, but he still has reinforcements there, Demu, so he survives with the rest of them. And that's the key bit of detail. Wait a minute, that's a tower elephant coming for the Byzantines. That's the first we've seen today, and he's not really getting involved just yet. That's just as well, because he would get taken down pretty quickly. He's trying to group up together, but he's really struggling here now. Myriad down to 20 military after a great start to the game. It's the Roose that are piling on the pressure. Look at his resource income. It's looking solid, and the villager lead is not as big as it once was. Demu, he's reboomed, and he reset. He's regrouped. He's coming in hot with Streltsy, Man at Arms, Mangonels. Going to take out the forward production, and this is the concern for the Byzantines, right? He's going to have to replace this. He's going to have to make more back at home somewhere. He's got a couple of barracks, but he's got a decent amount of wood, but you have to commit villager gathering time away from gathering onto productions again. And yeah, this is not looking good. Again, 2 more rams. This is the key bit of detail, right? He's taking out production buildings, and the production buildings being forward is the prime location, and that means Myriad can't replace this army anytime soon. He's already struggling on food anyway. He's down to 158 population. Demu at almost 200, and he keeps adding in rams, Mangonels, Bombards, Springolds. This is a siege death push from the Roose, accompanied with the Streltsy and Man at Arms, all heavily premium units. And he's pushing on in. And it feels like this is a push that can't be stopped. He's grouping up together here. Myriad looking to maybe take one last fight, but maybe that's all he's got left in the tank. It's Varangian Guards, Limitane, a Tower Elephant. Maybe he's going to charge on through. Maybe this is the last stand. He's got to stop it now, though, before it pushes in too much more, because there's just too many units. And the concern now is that Demu at 200 population cap, all the units, they will be replaced quite quickly with the eco he's got behind this that are banking up. The Rams tanking. Limitane, they're on shield wall, but even still, Streltsy, they just walk on in. They don't care. He's just going to take that fight. Horseman getting around the back. Going to snap out a couple of Mangonels potentially. I'm sure he'll get the Mangonels, but the Streltsys were going to dish out all sorts of damage. He's going to try to take down the numbers. Will he be enough or not? Still 1 Mangonel survives out of all of that. And this is the issue. He's had to split up his army. He had to try and take care of the Rams with some of the units. Man at Arms versus the Varangian Guards in the northeast part of the screen there. But the Streltsy, they survive, and they are just shooting everything that comes their way. Down to 17 military, and he doesn't have production capabilities here. Myriad, he is struggling big time, and the Rams behind all of this. They are taking down the Byzantine economy, the Byzantine structures, villages. Oh god, where are they off to? They're off to the deaths. That's where they're off to. Tower Elephant is all that stands and remains more or less here for the Byzantines. That's going to go down pretty quickly. But the demise of the elephant, that might just be the demise of the Byzantines. A great game of Age of Empires 4, gotta say. The Roose coming in hot with their cheaper siege from the High Armory, coming in with the powerhouse of the economy. Despite having lost a lot of villagers, Demu comes back into the game. A great game with the Horse Archers opening. You'd love to see it, but unfortunately for Myriad, he might be kicking himself a little bit here, because he did have a really good spot and a really good position. And there it is, he has to tap out in the end. Demu takes the game with the Roose on highview. A cracking game of Age of Empires 4. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. More importantly, subscribe to the channel for all things Age of Empires 4. Take care, and see you next time.